They came out and they played like gangbusters. They were nailing every shot. And for the first time in that series, I didn't think we were really challenging shots. We talked about it at halftime. Defensively, our work ethic wasn't there. And we talked about, hey, if you want to get back in this game, you can't do it on the offensive end. You've got to do it on the defensive end.
The Celtics' lead extended to as many as 16 points. Yet Detroit refused to quit. They pressed flesh against flesh and gradually turned up the heat. Fast breaks were held in check. Passing routes were closed down. And inside shots came with a heavy price tag. Bird was handcuffed with a 6 for 20 evening. And more outstanding was the shutout pitched against Danny Ainge. He was left clueless by the end of the third quarter.
Isaiah taps it away from Ainge. Rodman to Isaiah. Just for the horny hit.
That was probably as intense a defensive effort as I've ever been involved with on any level, at any time, in any place. Our guys were absolutely incredible in that second half, and it was, for us, it was a joy to behold.
No matter what they tried, Boston simply couldn't break Detroit's rhythm. Steadily, the Pistons climbed back into contention and kept putting the pedal to the metal.
Oh, man, did he fly to the hole or what?
Bench strength was overwhelming in Detroit's favor. They outstood their counterparts 52-19. The Celtics' 16-point lead was completely erased, and a foul-troubled squad had difficulty keeping pace.
Dumars, rolling with Laimbeer against first Ainge. They got the switch. Lamb inside on Ainge. Nice. Ainge gets help, but Billy makes anyway and draws the foul.
In the closing seconds of regulation, Dennis Johnson knocked in an off-balance shot, sending the game into overtime. But DJ's subsequent pain was symbolic of the Celtics' state of mind. They were pounded into submission, and again, AD made them cry uncle. The 119-115 victory was a dream come true to vindicate last year's nightmarish loss.
The Pistons grab Game 5, and they grab the home court advantage back for the Boston Celtics.
The door to the finals was open, and Detroit looked to keep Boston out.
We had pressure on us to beat Boston because last year, we should have been in the finals. If we hadn't accomplished that this year by beating them, it would have been a disappointing season for us.
With so much on the line in Game 6, both teams looked to their best post-up players. Dantley for Detroit and Kevin McHale for the Celtics. McHale's added incentive was to ensure that retiring K.C. Jones would not see his final game played on enemy turf.
Overheated, can hardly sleep.
to be impressed by Detroit's opening game cool. Their catalyst was a red-hot Adrian Dantley, 10 years removed from his days in L.A. The offensive flow was routine, but the execution was perfect. L.A. was caught flat-footed each time down the court, and in a flash, they were 8 points in the hole.
They're cornered, let's go!
Only one shot, man, one shot! Detroit successfully beat L.A. at their own game, outletting to a streaking man on the wing and then hitting an open trailer. The Pistons were electric in building an 11-point lead. But in the first half's closing seconds, they looked to squeeze out a few more sparks.
7 seconds left. Isaiah Laimbeer in the corner. His long gun goes for 3. Kareem will inbound it. Isaiah steals the ball. Sideline left dribble try. It's down. The Pistons lead it by 17.5.
Unflustered, the Lakers pooled their veteran experience and stormed out of the box in the third quarter. Their strategy was to drive to the basket and pick up fouls along the way, and they were near perfect at the free throw line.
Let's go. Gotta get stopped. Gotta cover the backcourt. Gotta get on the offensive board. Let's get our mindset back down. Get our mindset back down. All business here. Come on, all business.
Not surprisingly, it was defense that put the Pistons back on track. Leading the way was Dennis Rodman, who played like the Sultan of SWAT. Joining him was John Sally, who smothered Byron Scott's best effort. In all, the Pistons snuffed L.A. 6 times, including moments when the Lakers believed they had a guaranteed 2 points on the board. On the flip side, the Lakers couldn't shut down A.D., who pumped in an incredible 14 of 16 shots. Detroit's bench outdueled the L.A. subs by a 28-point margin, making the Lakers starters look like 5 easy pieces and exasperated losers in the opening game. When Game 2 racked into focus, the real cameras painted a stirring portrait of contrasts. Piston confidence and Laker concern met at midcourt, reflecting the gravity of a sweep in the Forum. But L.A. was not about to leave town without showing why those championship banners loom overhead. With grace and sleight of hand, the Lakers showed the style that had already won 4 titles during the 80s.
Hey, you're not going to win it offensively. You've got to get to work everybody defensively. That's what I'm looking at. You've got to have the defense.
2 years ago, Daly's men gave up 122 points per playoff game. But in 1988, they reduced that figure to a paltry 95. This defensive excellence also did wonders for the Pistons' transition game. The Lakers had to question their reputed edge in the fast break when Rick Mahorn filled the lane in tallying his most productive game of the finals. Detroit came back from a 12-point deficit, but Magic's fourth-quarter running hook reclaimed a slight Laker cushion. Kareem's version, however, missed the mark and positioned Rodman for a breakaway. Yet Abdul-Jabbar's attempt raised the rim and entitled L.A. to a fresh shot clock and the ball out of bounds. Instead of a possible 3-point margin, a pair of Magic free throws pumped the Laker lead up to 7, crushing the opportunity for a sweep in the Forum.
Honestly, we would like to win both of them. We're pretty confident about playing on our own court, especially with the crowd, the way it's really reacting. It's like Piston Mania with 45,000, 50,000 people whooping it up tremendously. It's going to be a great feeling.
Game 3 was truly a homecoming, as 40,000 backed Detroit, while East Lansing had divided feelings about its favorite son. The big issue was how the Lakers would fare on the road after 2 struggles in Utah and Dallas. Initially, matters were not improving in the Silverdome. Piston hustle tracked down Lakers' speed in a tightly fought first half, but the tide would quickly turn. James Worthy exploded for the first 8 points in the third quarter. Detroit then lost its leader with a Chuck Daly ejection and a lower back injury to Isaiah, the agonizing, crushing blow in a Piston defeat.
Look inside on the motion, 5 guys stepping inside. It's our game here, baby. This is where we supposed to play every day. So, just like this. Let's go, baby. It's our game right here, baby. Come on now.
Unlike games 2 and 3, Detroit was no longer passive inside and got the ball more often to AD. The defense was in top form, stripping the Lakers for 16 turnovers. In previous series, they choked off Jordan and Bird, and now had to smother another dominant player, Magic Johnson, who must have felt as if he woke up wearing Rodman's clothes. The Laker offense dried up in the Silverdome's 90-degree heat, yet the Pistons knew one way to spell relief. With just 14 LA points in the third quarter, even Magic lost his cool. Johnson retaliated to an earlier incident when rough play sent Isaiah to the ground. Off the court, they're the best of friends, but Isaiah took exception to his mistreatment. In hindsight, this worked to the Pistons' advantage, as LA's only effective player eventually picked up his 4th personal foul. Lost in the fray was Isaiah's ability for sucking up the pain.
They're by 15. The crowd roaring at the post. They're on their feet here. 5 seconds to play on the shot clock. As Isaiah gets to his 2 on the clock.
Detroit's 111-86 shellacking pulled them even at 2 games apiece. And the man who was a possible no-show led Detroit in both assists and rebounds. The Dantley family was there to support AD in the final home game of the season. Noticeably absent was Lynn Thomas, who gave birth the night before Game 5. Isaiah stayed up a full 24 hours to witness the delivery of his son, and the new father sought peace with the rest of the world. Isaiah's understandable fatigue appeared to rub off on his teammates. The defense was a step too slow as the Lakers opened up a 15-2 lead. With the offense in idle, the Pistons called upon their spark plug to bring them back. Vinny's shooting touch was not quite in peak form, but he was still at his irrepressible best. His success had a domino effect on Dantley. With a foul-troubled Worthy on the bench, no Laker could match up. After 12 seasons in the NBA and 2 games away from the title, the teacher was giving a lesson in retribution.
Teacher, Adrian Dantley, just took over. And he said, "You're not going to see me play any better than this," and he was no joke.
By now, fans everywhere knew these bad boys were just plain good. From their gritty warhorse to their exuberant youth, the Pistons were a perfect blend of winning basketball. They were a tough team in a tough town, exhibiting a blue-collar work ethic that made Detroit great. And that dedication was the foundation of a 10-point Piston victory. a championship ring, the season's home finale was the perfect farewell to 10 memorable seasons in the Silverdome.
All those stars, the Gary Shannon, and the McEnroe, and Billy Crystal, all those guys up there, they're watching us. Because at night, when they come to the game, we're the stars on the court.
But celebrity standing had no bearing on Game 6. The Pistons knew series momentum was clearly in their favor, and that this was the one contest they had to win. Each team began by stealing a cue from its adversary. The Lakers flexed their muscles, while Detroit looked more like Showtime. Pat Riley was trying to grind the Pistons into the court, and went deep into his playbook to thrust L.A. to a halftime lead. But neither foreign flash nor the June heat would wilt the Pistons. A repeat championship looked ill-fated until Detroit's comeback train was abruptly derailed. Isaiah accidentally stepped on another player's foot and badly sprained his right ankle. He writhed on the floor for minutes, but refused to go to the locker room. He insisted on playing, understanding that his leadership was critical for the Pistons. Teammates watched in amazement as Isaiah had to shoot off the wrong foot in order to keep the Pistons' fires burning. Thomas transcended pain in an epic battle of nerve. He gracefully soared to the basket and doggedly busted his tail from end line to end line. Perhaps agony heightened Isaiah's sense of awareness. He was practically flawless in the third quarter, in which his 25 points would set an NBA Finals record. These incredible heroics put Detroit a quarter away from the championship.
It's right here, baby. It's our game, baby. How long? 12 minutes more, baby. 12 minutes.
But there is something about Magic Johnson and the fourth quarter that makes it difficult for any team to beat L.A. His 11 points down the stretch would have buried most teams, but the Pistons continued to scratch and claw, showing a tenacity that burrowed beneath the Lakers' skin. Even with injury and giving up 8 inches, Isaiah challenged Magic to sink the last of his game-high 42 points. Detroit now had 1 minute and a 3-point cushion to win it all. But Byron Scott had an answer. Kareem followed Scott with 2 free throws, putting L.A. back up by 1 with 14 seconds left.
Joe hard, right? You got to be careful here. Joe hesitate a second in case you have to get back the ball. See, if you get him, you duck in and get the ball, try to get away and score. If not, you're going to choke over on the outside.
Both teams prayerfully watched the action unfold. But when Dantley and Thomas collided off the inbounds, the play was out of sync. Mighty Joe managed to shake free, but all 5 Lakers collapsed on his drive and gobbled up the ensuing loose ball. With a championship almost in hand, Detroit had to question its fate, while L.A. counted its lucky star. During the regular season, Isaiah would have been sidelined for 3 weeks, and his chances looked grim for Game 7.
I have a lot of faith in my teammates, and I know they'll be able to go out and carry on the job and fulfill the task that's at hand.
But this was the most important game in Piston history. Isaiah's unexpected presence was again an inspiration to teammates. Thomas fought back the pain to guide the Pistons to a halftime lead. But few can escape the Lakers' third quarter fury in the Forum. Behind Worthy's MVP caliber performance, Detroit found itself down 15 points with less than a quarter remaining.
Listen, hey, Sally's got Worthy now, right? All right. Basically, we're staying home. Let's not make it stay home. Get your hand up, smack the next one back in the face, okay? Come on.
Although the Pistons' chances look slim, they refuse to quit. Detroit pared the Lakers' lead down to 10, and then to 5 by selectively attacking the Laker defense. The lead soon dwindled to just 2, and even red-hot James Worthy was denied access in the middle. Detroit staged an unbelievable 13-point comeback and looked to tie the game with a minute remaining. But like Game 6, the Pistons' critical play was just off the mark, and L.A. realized its dream of back-to-back championships. A year ago, the Pistons were denied a chance at the finals. Now they've reached the threshold of basketball's ultimate reward, and tomorrow's dreams look brighter than ever.
Now, we're respected as a basketball team. People respect our talents and they respect how hard we work now. And, you know, there's a certain mindset being created now by the Detroit Pistons that people look at Detroit and say, this is how this team plays. And if you're gonna beat this team, you're gonna have to beat them at their style of game, and which is very difficult to do.